Hey guys, Aaron Farmer here with MySugarFreeJourney.com, and here is day 16 of the 28-day Ketogenic Weight Loss Challenge. Today we're going to talk about the ketogenic diet and Alzheimer's. So you've heard me say many times throughout this 28-day journey that more and more evidence is mounting that Alzheimer's and other dementia diseases are basically type 3 diabetes. In other words, the same root causes that cause type 2 diabetes are causing mental problems as well. It's important to note that diabetes does not cause dementia. It's just that both issues spring from the same well of causes. They are both coming from foods that force the body to create new metabolic pathways that are harmful to the body. In the case of Alzheimer's, the body's response to chronically high levels of insulin is to create plaques in the brain that essentially take over and replace brain cells. It's worth noting that the obese are at a much higher risk of impaired brain function, and diabetics are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's. New estimates say that Alzheimer's will affect 100 million people by 2050, a crippling number that could bankrupt our healthcare system and our nation. And that doesn't include the people with diabetes that don't contract dementia. New research indicates that having dementia means that throughout your life, you probably had one or more of the following risk factors. You lived with chronic high blood sugar levels, even in the absence of diabetes. You ate too many carbohydrates throughout your life. You opted for a low-fat diet that minimized cholesterol, or you had undiagnosed sensitivity to gluten, the protein found in wheat, rye, and barley. When talking about gluten, most people think that people with celiac disease are the only ones that need to worry about it. This is because gluten is only thought of in terms of gastrointestinal health, but new research indicates that gluten also has an effect on the brain, and that we are all sensitive to gluten to greater or lesser degrees. Dr. Perlmutter, the president of the Perlmutter Health Institute, says, quote, "Many of my patients reach me once they have tried everything and have been to scores of other doctors in search of health. Whether it's headaches and migraines, Tourette's syndrome, seizures, insomnia, anxiety, ADHD, depression, or just some odd set of neurological symptoms with no definite label, one of the first things I do is prescribe the total elimination of gluten from their diets, and the results continue to astound me." Researchers have known that the cornerstone of all degenerative conditions, including mental conditions, is inflammation. What has only recently been figured out is what exactly is causing the inflammation. Turns out it was gluten and carbs in general all along. Inflammation is supposed to be something that only shows up for a short time in our system and help to respond to a certain issue. It helps the body deal with that issue, and then it goes away. But when we constantly introduce gluten to our system, we are keeping our bodies inflamed for long periods of time, causing long-term damage. We already deal with inflammation in our bodies as a way to handle certain diseases. For instance, arthritis is caused by inflammation in the joints, and to handle that, we take aspirin, which is an anti-inflammatory. Asthma is handled with anti-inflammatory inhalers. New evidence shows that taking an aspirin for a heart condition works not because it thins the blood, but because it reduces swelling in the blood vessels. But the idea that inflammation causes mental disorders has only recently begun to catch on. But in fact, studies dating back as far as the 1990s show that people who have taken non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications such as Advil or Aleve for 2 or more years may have more than a 40% reduced risk of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. At the same time, other studies have clearly shown dramatic elevation of cytokines, the cellular mediators of inflammation, in the brains of individuals suffering from these and other degenerative brain disorders. Today, new imaging technology is finally allowing us to see cells actively involved in producing inflammatory cytokines in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. So, in a nutshell, high levels of inflammation damage your body in multiples of ways, but one of the ways is it causes your brain to degenerate. It puts you at higher risk of Alzheimer's, and it puts you at higher risk of Parkinson's and a few other diseases. So again, what we're seeing here is that high levels of insulin throughout the body affects different organs in different ways, but all of them are bad. Insulin resistance in the ovaries creates PCOS. High levels of insulin causes heart damage in the heart, causes type 2 diabetes and reduced reduced capacity, I guess, of your pancreas, and in your brain, high levels of insulin can increase your risk of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other neurological diseases. So again, one after another, we're seeing that it's the high levels of insulin and the high levels of inflammation that come along with high levels of insulin that cause damage to your body in multiples of ways. So cut out the insulin. I mean, cut out eating the foods that cause the inflammation. Cut out eating the foods that cause the inflammation in the high levels of insulin, and you'll see a reduced risk in all of these situations. Insulin resistance in the cells can put you at a higher risk of cancer. I mean, it's one after another. We're seeing all of these diseases have the same root, namely inflammation and insulin. All right, appreciate you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the next day in our 28-day challenge. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.